So it's an honor to have you here, Jeannie, and I can't wait to dive into the world of authentic engagement on social media with you today.
Yeah, me too, Susan. This is a real treat. I love the topic that you picked for today. Definitely very much in my wheelhouse.
Good deal. I'm excited. Um, so tell me, Jeannie, what are some key strategies or tactics that empaths and HSPs can implement to effectively leverage the Clapper platform for increasing their visibility and attracting their ideal clients?
Yeah, well, I love Clapper, which a lot of you already know that. But one of the reasons I love Clapper is I actually think it is a really great platform for what I would kind of consider like the lower energy entrepreneurs. So, the empaths, the highly sensitive, those of us who may not have that like hustle, 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 mentality all the time. I actually think that Clapper is a great solution for this particular group of people. And so many of my clients are having a lot of success on Clapper, I think, because of this. So, so I think one of the things that makes Clapper really great is, and this is the way it is right now, this may not be in the future, but right now there's so much opportunity on Clapper because it's kind of a newer platform. And so you don't have to be like constantly posting and posting and posting to grow. Right now, the recommendation for growth on TikTok is posting around 5 times a day. And wow, the recommendation for Instagram stories is 6 to 7 times a day.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Right. Like that's like, to me, that's like, like that's no. Okay. Like, unless I'm hiring someone to do that for me, which is not feasible for most people in the early stages of their business. Right. So trying to pull that off, especially if you have other responsibilities. So if you have a job or you're taking care of kids or, whatever, and now you're going to be posting on social media all the day, it just doesn't work. But on Clapper, I'm seeing really good, consistent growth for me and my clients with posting 1 time a day or even less. I have a lot of clients right now who are posting, few times a week, and their accounts are growing very quickly with ideal followers, people who are actually the type of people who might buy from them. Right. So, so just the fact that the platform itself doesn't require you to be on there all day long to make it work, I think is just that alone makes it such a great place for people who are empathic and highly sensitive. And then the other thing that I'm seeing about the platform that I'm really loving for us, for our type of people, is I'm seeing a lot of our type of people on the platform. And are you seeing that too?
I am. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that some of that has to do with some of the censorship type issues that we see on other platforms, like, oh, you can't talk about this and you can't use certain words. And, a lot of the clients that I work with trauma, right? They work with sensitive, triggering topics, and or they work in the health realm, which also can have a lot of controversy, right? And so they find themselves getting silenced on a lot of platforms, or, having to talk in code or have to kind of be vague and, and stuff like that. And Clapper is a very free speech oriented platform. So they don't censor you as long as you're not doing like hate speech or violence or something that's, harmful. They let you say whatever you want. There aren't any hidden words that if you say, you're going to get shadow banned. In fact, Clapper actually publicly says they do not shadow ban. So I think it's a great platform. Just forget the techniques. We'll talk more about the techniques and tactics as we get on today, but just the platform itself, in my opinion, if you are a coach, a healer, someone in the personal spiritual development realm, you need to be on Clapper. That's where I think it's going to be in the next year here.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I've been on there a little over a week now, and I'm really impressed. I have more followers already with, I think I have 6 posts on there. I have more followers already than I've had in my group on Facebook in the past year.
Isn't that incredible? Yeah. Yeah. So such a huge opportunity. Basically, what I'm seeing is less effort, more result.
Hmm.
That's the bottom line that I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. It's really, and it's pretty easy to learn.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's when you first get on, it can be a little bit overwhelming. A lot of people have followed me over, just like you. A lot of people have followed me over from Facebook, and I'm like, okay, stop in my group first. We'll get you set up, because it can be a little bit like, what is this crazy platform? Because it has a lot of features that are similar to other platforms, but different. And so there is a little bit of a like, okay, how does this work? But once you kind of get the lay of the land, it's super easy and very, just very real. Like to me, Clapper
Mhm.
feels more similar to like walking into a room of people of my kind of people. You know what I mean? Like it just feels,
Yeah.
yeah, it just has a very like natural, organic, uncomplicated, just sort of feel to it that I really love.
Yeah, I love that too. And it's, yeah, everybody that I have connected with on there has just been really nice and,
Yeah,
very welcoming.
very
It's
much. Yeah.
pretty
It's a real
impressive.
community. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So I'm glad that you told us all about it so that we could join in. And I hope other people will join soon as
I
well.
know.
So, but yeah, I'm really impressed with it so far. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how can empaths and HSPs authentically infuse empathy into their email marketing campaigns to resonate with their audience on a deeper level and establish trust?
Oh, I love this question. First of all, let's just talk really quick. Email is so important. Okay.
Mhm.
When a lot of times when we're first starting out, especially when we get into online business, we start with the social media, and it's really normal to just be on one platform in the beginning. I do think you should be on more than one platform over time, but when you're starting out, it makes sense to just focus on one. But don't neglect your email list. You should be building your email list really from day one. So if you're
Mhm.
not doing that yet, you need to start today. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. um, so you need a link in your profile that is going to take people to a place where you can get their email address. Okay. So there's a lot of ways to get an email address, but I like to exchange value for an
Mhm.
email address. So for me, that means I'm going to give away like a freebie, like a free guide, or a free training, a free class, a free download, something. And this is going to be
Mhm.
a good product. Okay. There are some crap freebies out there. That is a
Oh
waste of
yeah.
everyone's time.
Mhm.
It needs to be a high quality product if you actually want it to convert. So, but you basically need to be collecting email addresses from day one, because really, how social media works is that you need to have awareness, right? You're getting yourself out there and people are finding out about you and getting curious about you, but you need to deepen that relationship. And email is a great way to do that. Email is also the thing that's going to save you when what happened to me happens, or if what happens to me happens. And that is that I
Mhm.
basically got shut down on Facebook and didn't have a way to connect with my community. And email is the
Yeah.
solution to that. So we have to have email. So I just want to say that first. But how can we use empathy in our email marketing? So empaths and really anyone with any sort of intuitive or psychic abilities, which technically we all have, but I will use it in the way of like people who have honed these skills in. We have a hidden superpower in marketing because we don't have to guess how our clients and our audience feel about things.
Mhm.
We don't have to guess what they're going through. We can actually feel that. And the way that we can feel that is through that interaction. So when we are interacting with our audience in things like lives, in comment threads, things like that, we can start to energetically connect with them, and we can start to feel into where they are and what the message is that they need to hear. So just like in real life, how our friends and family notice that we're always the person who knows just the right thing to say, or who
Mhm.
picks up the phone and calls them at just the right moment. Well, we get to do that in our marketing too, because we have those same instincts. And if we're sharing energy with our audience, which we should be, if we're building community and actually interacting with people, then we begin to have an innate sense of what it is that they need from us and what it is that they most need to hear. And we can utilize that in our email marketing campaigns and our social campaigns, to really meet them where they are and to jump into that place with them wherever that struggle is and show them that path out of it.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. And when you tune in, oftentimes they're not aware of what they're feeling. And so
right.
It makes a big difference in their lives too, when you can point that out or kind of
that's
guide
that's
them by
point.
asking them questions. Yeah.
Yeah, most people don't know. That's why questions like, what do you guys need? Never works. Like if you try to ask at a Facebook group or someplace like that, like, oh, what do you want me to teach you? Or what do you need help with? It's too general of a question.
Well, yeah. And if they knew that, they wouldn't need your help.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's your expertise actually comes in the diagnosis of the problem. Because that's what most people can't do, is most people don't accurately understand what their problem is. And so, but as an empath, like I said, we don't have to guess. We actually know what our clients are going through and our audience. And so we can just jump right in there with them.
Yeah, I find that makes a huge difference. And that's what makes us powerful coaches as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Is having that ability. And yeah, I mean, a lot of us, we all have different, like there's different areas of ability there, but we all can tune in.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. We all have our own way of connecting, that we can utilize.
Yeah. Because for me, I hear a lot. I'm clairaudient, but I also see, sense, feel. I've always felt everyone's emotions. Always. Yeah. And like that's clairsentience is like a big one for me, but also the clairaudience. So I hear what's going on, and then sometimes I see it, and sometimes you just know.
Yeah, for me,
it's it in so many ways.
Yeah, for me, it's the knowing or the sensing of the emotions is usually what triggers in me. Those are my two stronger clairs. But yeah, it's just that, that realization of like, oh, I know what it is that, I know where people are struggling, and and it's just so much easier for us to not just rely on like data or market research or whatever, which is really important. But to be able to also just have that innate sense, because that's accessible to all of us, right? Things like data and market research and things like that might not be accessible to everyone, but your intuition, that's accessible to you. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, I find it makes a huge difference. And being healers too.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Because
yeah.
Well, you're attracting the people who you hold the medicine for. So yeah, it all just kind of beautifully works together.
It does. And they say, how did you know? How did you do that? I don't know. I just know.
Yeah. Because this is just what I'm here to do. Right.
Yeah. I just know. I don't know where it comes from, but I know it comes from spirit, and it's a gift. And yeah. So I'm using it to help other people.
Right.
Like we're meant to do.
Yeah. Like I'm not here to question it. I'm just here to use it. So yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting. So what are some common mindset challenges that empaths and HSPs have when it comes to social media visibility? And how can they overcome those challenges and really confidently show up online?
Yeah. Oh gosh, this is a big one. So I see, and so here's the funny thing that I think about mindset is that, the type of people I work with are in the personal development realm. And you would think that all of us have our mindset on point, right? Like, because this is the work that we do all the time. But we are blind to our little mindset blocks. And I'm including myself in that. Okay. So all of us, we are all blind to our own shit, basically.
Yeah. We're too close to it to see it.
Exactly. And we know our intention. And that gets confusing because sometimes our mindset doesn't match our intention, but we can't see that. So, so one of the traps that I actually see, especially like coaches falling into, is believing they don't have a mindset problem.
Oh, that's
Right?
a big one. Yeah. Yeah.
Huge, right? I'm a coach. I know this. I got this figured out. I've been doing this for years. I don't have a mindset issue. I don't have a belief issue. I don't have a self-worth issue, right? When we actually do. So
Yeah, I hate to clue them in, but we all do.
yeah, we all, it's like, sorry, Charlie, but we all do. We all have shit. So that's a big one that I see, is just even not being almost willing to admit that we might have a mindset problem. So that's big. But the big mindset issue that I see over and over and over again, and this is the one that is sneaky because people think they've conquered it and they haven't, and it's tied directly to visibility, and it's people pleasing.
Yeah, that's a big, big, big one.
People pleasing will absolutely stop your business in its tracks. Like just period, the end. Because what is happening when you are people pleasing is you are putting everyone else's basically expectations and desires ahead of your own. And I'm sure you've heard, how you do one thing's how you do everything, right? So,
oh yeah. Yeah.
So if you're doing this in life, you're doing it in business. If you're doing it in business, you're doing it in life. Like, so it's permeating. And so what happens is you don't set good boundaries around your time and your business and making your business a priority. I was on the phone the other day with someone, and they were talking about all this stuff that they had going on, and basically all of the reasons that they couldn't work on their business. And it was all other people's shit. And they were wrapped up in it, and they were wrapped up in that it was somehow their responsibility to basically take care of these things and help this person out or help other people out. And so they were saying things like, well, it's like I get up in the morning and I have to go talk to so-and-so about this, and I have to go do this thing, and I have to go to that thing. And then, you know, by the time I can work on my business, 8:00 at night, and I'm tired and I'm worn out, and, you know, I don't want to do it. And it's like, yeah, you're choosing to not make your business a priority. And
yes, exactly. It's a choice.
It's a choice. And that's the hard part, because it doesn't feel like a choice when you're in it and you're like, you're drowning, right? You feel like you're in over your head, you're overwhelmed, you're trying to do everything for everyone. You just, you can't, right? And so, yeah. And so you feel like you're doing all the things, but the reality is you're not doing all the things. You're doing all the things that you think are expected of you.
Yeah.
And that's not what's going to grow your business. What's going to grow your business is putting yourself first, making your business a priority. This is really hard, because if you've been a people pleaser, like most of your life, and you're not accustomed to putting yourself first, you don't even know how to do that.
Yeah. Me. Been there.
Right. You don't even know. And so you're trying to put yourself first, but it actually takes practice. You actually have to practice the skill of saying, no, I work on my business 2 hours a day, and it's these 2 hours, and y'all are going to shut up and leave me alone. I mean, whatever you have to do. Right. But like, you know, in your own context. So just the boundaries and the way that we approach our business from a people pleasing aspect, it also permeates our content. And so this is the big visibility piece that ties in, because what happens if you're a people pleaser, you have been trained, and you've trained yourself essentially, right? But you have been trained to make people like you and you've been trained to actually make people like you by fitting in. You've made yourself very, like vanilla, right? Like there was a time that I could walk into a room and just no one would notice me. I could just slide right in the room and no one would even know that I was there, right? So if you are accustomed to fitting in and you go and try to make content on the internet, you are going to try to fit in. You're going to see what other people are doing, and you're going to make similar stuff, which just makes you look boring and vanilla. And it will make you fit in. It will be like what I just said. You'll walk into the room and no one will notice you, because you're doing such a good job of fitting in that you can't stand out. And so now people will keep scrolling. Like you've tried so hard to please everyone that you've pleased absolutely no one. And they just keep scrolling because there's nothing interesting about you.
That's exactly true. And, especially we all have our unique gifts. We all have them. And as empaths, we're weird. And if you look up weird in the dictionary, it says supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. I love the word
any
weird.
day. I love it. And I've always been weird. I've always known I'm weird. And, so you're really weird and you're trying to fit in and you're not using your gifts.
Right. Yeah, your weirdness is actually your superpower. It's what makes you supernatural. And if you're not letting people see that, you're not letting them see your gifts. You're not actually letting them see the thing that your medicine. Your medicine is tied up in that weirdness. And you're essentially hiding your medicine, your best gifts from the entire world. And then you're wondering why you don't have any clients.
Yeah.
That's why you're hiding.
Yeah.
They can't find you.
Right. You're invisible. It's like you're wearing an invisibility cloak because you're trying to fit in and you're really weird and nobody can see what it is you have to offer because you're hiding under that invisibility cloak.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And so, really. So that people pleasing, it is an insidious one. And it's so hard because you'll convince yourself that that's not what's happening, if you want to believe. And so usually what people say is, that's not what's going on. My problem is knowledge, right? I need another certification. I need a different marketing strategy. Basically, I need to go learn something else to make this work. And the answer isn't that you need to learn something else. The answer is that you need to address your mindset because that's actually the thing that's holding you back. Yeah,
it took me a long time to learn that. Thinking that I didn't know enough. So I needed to do more. Well, I love to learn. So that just fit right in.
And learning feels good because if you're good at learning, right, it feels good. And so what do we do when we feel uncomfortable? In order to promote your business, you're going to have to get uncomfortable, especially if you're an introvert or an empath, like you're not used to like being on a stage. You have to work through that discomfort. So what's going to make that like worth it to you to work through that discomfort? That's a question you have to ask yourself, because you'll want to hide. You'll want to say, no, that's uncomfortable. But learning's comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Super comfortable, right? I'm good at learning. Like I got good grades in school, right? I can learn all the things. I can take the best notes, And so you get that little dopamine hit that makes you feel good. You're doing something that feels good, but it's not moving you forward.
Right. And what good is all that knowledge if you weren't sharing it with anyone?
That's a great point, Susan. Yeah. It's like you're hoarding all this knowledge. Like, what are you even obtaining this knowledge for if you're not willing to actually put it out there?
Yeah. I mean, I get really excited to share the knowledge that I just learned.
Yeah.
That's one reason I love to teach is because I can share that knowledge that I'm excited about that I know is going to help people.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can help someone else have that excitement, right?
Yeah. And help them heal and help them grow. If I can help them figure out how to solve the problem they have, great.
Yeah.
Share my knowledge.
That's
absolutely. Why I'm here,
Yeah.
But
and then the problem comes when we like over consume that knowledge, right? And we aren't willing to do the uncomfortable stuff because the uncomfortable stuff is actually the stuff that grows your business. Making videos, selling, networking, getting on someone's podcast, the stuff that is scary is the stuff that you actually need to be doing more of. And the more you do it, the less scary it is. I mean, today, what we're doing, I could not have done a couple of years ago. I literally couldn't have done it. I just, it was not accessible to me. Now it is not even a big deal. Like nothing about this is a big deal. And that's a huge, we're talking about someone who used to cry and sweat and, and all sorts of stuff to get on camera. And now I'm just like, all right, let's go live. What are we talking about? So it happens.
That's true.
But you have to be willing to get through that discomfort, right? In order to get to this place. And that's where a lot of people never make it because the discomfort doesn't feel good. And sometimes even we convince ourselves that because it doesn't feel good, that means it's not aligned. It means it's not for us.
Right.
Right. Because if it was
true.
Yeah. If it was for us, it would feel good. Right. And the answer to that is no, not necessarily, because doing something new doesn't feel good. The adult human brain does not like not knowing things.
Right.
Doesn't like it.
Yeah, exactly. We're resistant to change because
Yes.
change is unknown.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you
like
can't grow if you don't change. Change is the only thing that never changes. It's always changing.
Right. That's the thing we can count on. We can count on change to always happen, right?
That is consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it doesn't feel good, but the reason it feels unaligned is because it isn't aligned with the person that we are now. It's aligned with the person we're becoming. And that is, I think that's the key trick, because I've heard so many people say, oh, this strategy doesn't feel aligned, or doing that doesn't feel aligned to me. And it's like, aligned with what? Because the 6-figure entrepreneur that you are becoming, it's aligned with them. It may not be aligned with the person who's treating their business like a hobby and putting themselves last, but it is aligned with the CEO, right? So that is that thing, is we just have to be willing to get uncomfortable. And it's so funny because we're so good at leading our clients through discomfort that we forget we have to do it too.
Yeah, we do. Everyone has to do it to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way you grow. Challenges are the only reason we grow. Otherwise, we would stay stagnant.
Yeah. Yeah, because we would have no incentive, right? Because we don't want to. We want to stay the same, stay in our little box. So we have to have an incentive, to do that. And, for me, that incentive was the lifestyle that I wanted to create. The incentive wasn't about helping people or creating a better life for my family. That's the stuff we like to say because it sounds good. But your real thing that gets you up in the morning that will actually drive you will always be something that's for you. Always.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, I wanted this lifestyle. I wanted to sleep in the morning and not have an alarm clock. I wanted to be in charge of my day. I wanted to only have to work a few hours a day. I wanted to be able to take off or go on vacation or do whatever I want whenever I wanted. And basically the hugest one is I wanted to be myself every fucking day and just let people deal with it. You either love me or you don't. Either way. And that was the big one. That was the big thing that I finally figured out, is that ultimately I wanted to be able to express myself through my business, my true authentic self, without having to censor myself, water myself down, anything like that. And the realization that I was hiding and preventing myself from being able to do that, and that the alternative was to work in a job that I hated for, 50 hours a week for someone else, getting them rich. Nah, I'll get over this fear. I'll get over this fear before I spend the rest of my life working like that,
Yeah, I'm with you there. I stayed stuck in a soul-sucking job for way too long.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other people get out of that situation.
Absolutely.
And just because I never felt like I was allowed to be me.
Me too.
Constantly being told I'm too sensitive or this or that, or not enough, or not worthy, or not deserving, or whatever it is. Well, guess what? I am. That's a human right.
It is. And the corporate world can convince you I will say some of the most successful people in corporate America, observationally, in my opinion, are honestly either narcissists or have very, no, I'm not saying everyone's a narcissist, but I'm just saying I see a lot of codependency and narcissism in corporate America baked into the model. And basically people like us are usually the ones that business is being built on the backs of. The worker bees who often get taken for granted and are actually purposefully kept in the positions that we're kept in because we're such good workers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if that's your life and you're trying to start a business, you're exhausted, you're over it, right? You're like, fuck this shit. I don't want to, and sometimes we carry that over into our business though. And we're like, we come from working, 50 hours a week, and all of a sudden we're not willing to put 20 into growing our business because we're
Isn't
right.
that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're so fed up. So sometimes there's a little bit of a rebellion that sometimes happens where we're like, I'm not posting all the time. I'm not sending emails. We start getting this says who, I'm not being told what to do, because we're kind of rebelling from, all of a sudden we have this freedom and we're our own boss and we can do whatever we want. So a lot of people kind of self-destruct in the first, few months, because they're not bossing themselves. Because the thing is, in the absence of a boss, someone has to step into the role of leader, and that someone is you.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes it takes a minute to realize that you're in charge. It's almost like you're going along and you're like, dude, are they just going to let me keep doing? Oh, there is no they, I'm they.
Good point. Good point.
No one's coming to tell me no. No one's coming to correct me. No one's coming to save me from myself. It is me. And I have to step into the leadership role, not only for my clients, but for myself. You have to be able to lead yourself. And that is part of the journey.
It is. And you have to be disciplined enough to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's complicated. Entrepreneurship isn't easy. To me, it's easier than working for someone else. Because ultimately I'm in control, and, I can manage my schedule and I can do those things, but that doesn't make it easy. Just because it's easier,
right?
It doesn't make it easy.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's not easy, but it's I have a lot of peace.
Yeah.
With it, because I'm, it's just because of what I'm surrounded with and the people that I choose to surround myself with. There's a lot so much more happier. Peace. A lot happier.
Yeah, just so much.
No
happier.
Comparison. It's like day and night. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's interesting too is when I was in a job, I had this idea in my head. I thought I had to have so much money. You know what I mean? I thought oh, I need to make millions of dollars and all this stuff. I thought that's what I needed to be happy. And once I actually got out of that environment, I realized I actually needed a lot less money. Because money doesn't really buy happiness, right? It does definitely buys things that contribute to happiness. Okay. So we're not going to say that money, can't enhance your life, because it can enhance your life in many, many ways. But the realization, I stopped wishing and playing the lottery, for example, because I used to really think that the only way I could really be happy and feel safe and secure and be free in this world is if I was a multimillionaire. Yeah. And that is actually a limiting belief about what you think you can do and what you think you deserve. Because to me, the only way I actually deserved that was if something extraordinary happened, like winning the lottery. Then I finally got to that place where I understood, first of all, I don't need crazy amounts of wealth in order to be happy. That's ridiculous. And that I actually, the amount of money I do need is actually much smaller, still a good amount of money. I'm not saying I'm living poor or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I got to that place where I stopped kind of living in that fantasy world of thinking that I couldn't be happy unless I was just rolling in it. And I finally realized I was so unhappy, not because of my financial situation, but because I was going to work every day and putting on a mask. I was being someone that I wasn't. And that was not only exhausting, but that messes up your mental health.
Oh, it does. Big time.
Big time.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, it was I actually have to get out of this. I have to, and now I'm I can't even believe I stayed there so long. But one of the reasons I stayed was the money. I was making really good money. And I thought that was more important than it was. And now in retrospect, I'm I should have quit way earlier, because I didn't need as much money as I thought I did, and I would have been fine. I would have been so much happier. And I would have been able to start actually building that wealth, because it takes time to build money on your own in a business.
It does.
You have a lot of expenses in the beginning. You have inconsistent income. You have up and downs. And it does take some time to get that going. And I think that stops a lot of people, because they think, well, I have to replace my current income. But sometimes you don't. sometimes you really don't have to replace your current income. You just think you do. So
Mhm.
something to definitely ponder for people who are stuck in that, trying to build a business and work a full-time job at the same time, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Because I worked 2 jobs for a long time when I first got started.
Yeah, I
I
did
did
too.
that. Oh, I think 3 years. I worked
And
two jobs.
it's hard. It's so
It's
hard.
exhausting. I just
Yeah,
got so exhausted. I couldn't do it anymore.
I know. Yeah, it's really rough.
Yeah.
And so I do encourage people, like, consider, can you go part-time? Can you switch to a
Mhm.
job that maybe is less stressful? Is there anything that you can do to give your business more breathing room?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, that's what I did. I went part-time
yeah, it's
and
smart. It's
it
smart.
helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could kind of split my time and still have some time to myself.
Yeah. And still have a
'Cause
little bit of consistent income coming in,
mhm.
so yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely something to think about. I know a lot of people really get stuck in the, like, I have to replace my current income, but I do like to challenge that idea because maybe you really don't,
Yeah, and you have to be open to it. You have to be open to the
Yeah.
fact that, yeah, it can be different. It doesn't have to be that way. That's a limiting belief too.
Yeah,
And it's a
absolutely.
mindset.
It
Yeah.
is.
So you have to be open to the opportunities that are available, because if you're not open to them, you're never going to see them.
Oh yeah, they'll just pass you right by.
Mhm.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's amazing. So in your experience, what are some effective strategies or techniques that empaths and HSPs can use to balance self-care and energy management
Yeah.
while actively participating in social media and online marketing activities? That's a challenge.
Yeah. And we were just kind of talking about that, right? Just like
Yeah.
all the exhaustion. And so here's the thing and I resisted this so hard for so long. So I already know that some people listening are like, I don't like this idea, but I'm telling you, this is the tea. This is the thing. So you have to have some routine and structure around
Mhm.
what you're doing on social media. First of all, if you want to attract clients consistently and actually make a real sustainable business, you need a strategy. Just
Yeah.
randomly, posting and stuff like that, that'll get you a handful of clients, but that's not going to build a business. So you have to have a strategy, but you also need some consistency and some routines. And,
Mhm.
I rejected that notion for a long time because honestly, it sounded worky and boring.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
again, like, I'm not going to do that. You can't tell me what to do. This is my business. Right. So,
Yeah.
but when you are only posting like when you're inspired or whatever, that's not going to work. Especially if you have lower energy, because what ends up happening is you don't have the energy to do it today. You don't have the energy tomorrow. You don't have energy the next day. Pretty soon, a whole week's gone by
Mhm.
and your audience hasn't heard from you. And then, you show up randomly. There's no cohesiveness in your messaging. And so it's a recipe for and basically it's ineffective. So what's happening is you're doing
Mhm.
all the things, right? You're doing the activities. You may not be posting as much as you should be, but you're still like doing the stuff, but it's not effective. And so you're just kind of a hamster on a wheel. Like you're
Right.
expending the energy, but you're not actually getting anything out of it. So you really need to be thinking about what works for your lifestyle. And I can give you what I do, so that
Mhm.
maybe people can think about, how that may or may not work for them because we're all different, right?
Right,
But
right.
and how I figured this out was by playing with it. So that's what I encourage you to do. I encourage you to find a way to make this work for you if you're serious about growing your business. So, but what I did was I like to create some content ahead of time. So I can batch some content. So especially for
Mhm.
things like Clapper and TikTok, the short form videos. So I like to create content ahead of time, but I also like to be in the moment with my audience. We were talking about, having that empathic and intuitive ability and being able to fill in what's going on. So
Mhm.
if I was one of those creators who made all of my content for the month in one day, and there are people who do that,
Mhm.
that wouldn't work for me. Um, for one thing, it sounds too overwhelming to me to do everything.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right. So
Right.
so it just doesn't sound like I already am like, ooh, I don't know. But then also an entire month is going to go by with me not actually interacting as much. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not able to
Mhm.
respond. So my
Right, right.
happy medium is I like to record content 1 or 2 days a week. And on those days, I'm doing things like recording my my TikToks, my clappers, if I have YouTube videos that I want to do, whatever content that I have, I'm trying to put into 1 or 2 days a week. And I'm trying to make, if I'm going to sit down and make some TikToks, I'm going to make 5 or 6 of them.
Mhm.
So now on the rest of the days, when I have lower energy, my content's already done. And all I have to do is log in and post it. I don't have to put on my makeup, do my hair, set up my lighting, get in front of, I don't have to do all that because I'm only doing that once or twice a week. And so that is what I recommend. And again, you have to find what works for you. Maybe for you, it's, every 3 days, maybe it's every 2 weeks. I don't know what it is. You have to play around and get your own cadence with it, but this will change your life. Just getting a little bit of structure. And some people love structure, right? If you're a super structured person, I would go all in this. I would be like, I do content on Tuesdays from noon to 3. I would just put it out. But if you're someone who's maybe like me, who you tend to kind of reject structure, I don't schedule mine. I don't say I'm going to record content on Tuesday.
Right.
Instead, I just know there's 1 or 2 days this week that I need to record content, and I'm going to do it on the days that I'm feeling the most inspired and creative and energetic.
Yes.
So that's
how
what
I
works
do
for
it
me.
too.
Yeah.
That works for me too.
Yeah. So that allows me to take advantage of my my intuition by being more in the moment with my audience. And it also lets me to maximize my energy, because I definitely want to be putting my best foot forward on camera. So I need to do that when I'm really feeling it and not when I'm like, been working all day and I'm tired and I don't want to do it.
Right. Yeah. Because that energy comes through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point.
Yeah. So structure and routine, it's the boring shit, but the way I see it, structure is the masculine container that allows the feminine to flow. And so
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So if you want the freedom, you want the flow, you want that ease in your business, it comes from having structure to make that happen. The two don't exist without each other because you can't have masculine without feminine. That's the only way I can explain it. So you can't just be chaotic all the time and, posting when I'm inspired and right. That just doesn't work. You have to have the structure to have that container to hold it.
That's exactly true. I agree with that 100%. Because without that, it would be really difficult for me to get anything done.
Yeah.
And then I would be overwhelmed too, because now I'm not inspired, but I have to create something. And what am I going to do? And what am I going to say? And
how exhausting is that?
It's exhausting.
Right. Just even that thought, not even the doing it, but just even the thought process.
Thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you go, oh God, too much. I can't do this. Right. So that's why I say that structure, it saves you. It absolutely saves you because, and there will be weeks where you don't want to do anything all week. And you realize I have to make this happen, or else. Right. Or you can choose not to, right. We can always choose not to. But there will be those weeks where you're like, I don't really feel like showing up, but I'm going to do it anyways. And you get a lot out of that too. There's something to be said for every once in a while push. Like, I'm not saying you should always do that, but for every once in a while being like, you know what, I'm going to be a big girl today. I'm not in the mood, but I'm going to record 3 or 4 videos,
Yeah. And sometimes that's needed.
Yeah, it is. It's just like going to the gym or eating your vegetables. Like there are days that may not be what you want to do, but that is actually what you want to do.
Yeah. And consistency is key too. You got to be consistent. So if you're going to just wing it and show up when you want, that's not going to work very well.
Yeah. I mean, what will happen is then your audience will wing it and show up when they want.
Right.
And, your clients will be kind of random and inconsistent, Yeah.
That's a really good point. Really good point. Yeah. So how can empaths and HSPs leverage their intuitive gifts to create magnetic and authentic online personas that will attract their ideal audience and clients?
So what I love about this question is the online personas part of it. Because we think a lot about creating a brand and developing a brand, right? And having our personal brand. But in reality, your brand is you.
Exactly.
It's just you being you. So how do you translate that though? Because It's super easy to say to someone, just be yourself.
Mhm.
There you go. That's it. Just be yourself, right? Everyone's like, fuck off. What's that mean? Like,
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
which
like,
part of me? Which part of me?
which,
There's
yeah,
lots of
which part
parts.
of myself do you want me to be? Right. And again, that goes back to people pleasing. Well, what part of myself do they want me to be? I'm going to have to go be this, that, right? No, we're not going to
Mhm.
do that. But here's how
No.
you do it. So, and this kind of gets into the whole niche or no niche discussion. Look, I'm going to just the whole niche thing. Anyone who's saying like be the niche or like the no niche, that's their niche. They
Mhm.
still have a niche. Okay. So a niche is quite simply the problem that you solve for a group of people.
Mhm. That's it.
That's all a niche
Yeah.
is. Okay. So anyone who's like, I don't want to have a niche, you don't want to solve problems for people. No,
Yeah,
you
that's
do want it,
exactly
right?
right.
Yeah, you want to solve. So you do need a niche. But a niche doesn't mean that you're all boxed in. And I think that's what
Right.
people resist. It sounds confining.
Mhm.
So I want to open it up. We're not even going to call it a niche, but we're all going to agree that you need one. Okay. But, but I want to just kind of open up the idea of it. So here's how I like to position it.
Mhm.
What are the 3 to 5 topics that you want to connect with your audience on?
Mhm.
That is it. So you come up with 3 to 5 things that you want to talk about. These are things that you have expertise and experience in. These are things that relate to the types of struggles and desires that your clients have. So these are the things that you connect with them on. The way I kind of think of it is like if you were putting together like a social club or like a friend group or something like that. What
Mhm.
are the 3 to 5 things that you all have in common that you like to talk about and get together and do together? It's what are your common points? So it's just 3 to 5 things. And whether those 3 to 5 things are very worky. So, I'm a business coach and, my content is very, it has a lot to do with marketing and mindset,
Mhm.
and stays in that realm. But someone else might inject maybe more of their personal life into their content because it makes more sense for what they do. Like, for example,
Right.
say you're someone who helps moms.
Mhm.
Well, you talking about being a mom and showing your life and how you're running your family is going to be an important thing to connect with your audience on, right?
Yeah.
So you really just pick 3 to 5 things, and those are the topics that you talk about all the time, and you talk about nothing else. And I'm
Mhm.
not kidding, nothing else.
Yeah.
And that is how you bring your authentic personality, because those are 3 to 5 things that you are authentically excited about and knowledgeable about. So you should be able to show up and have your own unique spin on them.
Mhm.
And that is what creates your brand. Those 3 to 5 things are what create your brand. Eventually, you will be known for just those things. And you have built a authentic brand without branding.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I did with energy clearing. I was
Yeah.
known for clearing energy and working with chakras because I got excited about it,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
And
the thing.
we all need to clear our energy, whether we
Of
realize it
course.
or not. We're absorbing other people's energy all the time. And, if somebody's in a bad mood, we're all affected by it,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And
empathic or not. Yeah, we're all affected by it. So you got to release that energy and clear it. You also need to know what is yours and what's other people's.
oh my gosh. Yes. Especially as an empath, right? It's
Yeah,
so easy to pick up other people's stuff and think it's ours.
exactly. And you got to get rid of that. You got to
Yeah.
clear it. And you have to know what your energy feels like.
Yeah. And we can pick up our clients' stuff real easy, right? Because
Yeah.
we're in it with them, right? We're sharing
Yeah.
energy with them, we're holding space for them. And yeah,
And you're
sometimes
tuned in. You're tuned in. So
yeah,
you're more open than you would be otherwise. So
exactly. Yeah. And we
yeah.
can really, so I feel like that's a really powerful thing for people in the business space to be able to do, is to be able to not only protect themselves, but to be able to clear those things.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And
Yeah.
I like to do it between every client or every group of clients because you don't want to pass that on to the next group of people that
Oh
you're
yeah.
talking to.
No, that's such a good point. Yeah. Yeah. Cause
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, you get some like funky, some funky energy, and yeah, that's got to go before you pass that on to someone else for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's great. Well, Jeannie, do you have any upcoming projects or initiatives that you're excited about sharing?
Yeah, actually, I do. I actually have a brand new offer that is actually on pre-sale for current clients right now only, but it will be opening up for the general public next week. So the best way to get info about that is to actually join my mailing list, and I can provide that link. Although I guess I have to go back into YouTube probably and provide it separately. I don't think I can provide it directly through here, but I can provide that link. And if you're already on my email list, then you'll get it. But I do have a new project, and this is really specifically for those people who are stuck in that people pleasing and the visibility and those things, because that's what I'm seeing right now, being in it with my audience, is I'm seeing people who really want to be out there. They want to be seen, right? You want to build this business. You want to be the 6-figure entrepreneur. You want to be that person with thousands of followers, where clients are coming in, buying without you, like when you wake up in the morning and you have sales in your inbox and stuff, like that's what you want, right? But you're halting your ability to have that because you're stuck in the people pleasing, you're stuck in the visibility issues. And so what happens is you invent a million excuses, you procrastinate, you don't have time, right? All this stuff happens. And long story short, you're not growing your socials and you're not growing your business. And so this program is the solution to that. So that is specifically who this program is for that person who is finding themselves in that trap and is like, forget it. We are getting out of this. This is ridiculous. So it's a 30-day intensive. It's a one-on-one program with me. And we, instead of, cookie cutter systems and stuff like that, we're going to go through it together. And I'm going to meet you where you are with your specific, visibility issues. And we're going to actually put together your plan so that you have that cohesive strategy that we were talking about, so that you can do content, 1 or 2 days a week, or whatever the cadence is that works for you, and actually get that freedom and create that lifestyle that you're after. So it's really putting all those pieces into place. So yes, if anyone wants information on that, like I said, you can join my mailing list. You can just reach out to me too, and I'd be happy to send you the link. It will be open to the public in just like, what's today? The Wednesday. So it'll be open to the public in just a few days, but I'll give you a sneak preview if you send me a DM or something. So
nice. Yeah. We'll have to get that link in the description here or in the comments. And that sounds really exciting. Really exciting.
I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to help a lot of people.
It is. A program similar to that helped me out a lot when I was starting off, and that coach is no longer running that program. Otherwise, I would recommend her to people for that, but she's not running that program anymore. And it came to me actually just about a week ago that was, I just kind of heard it, it was like, this is next. So I'm really, really excited to work with some people in this capacity, because I just know this space so well, that fear of being seen. I had such a journey with it, and it's not something that affects everyone. People who don't get it, don't get it. People who never, people who've never dealt with that fear, can't relate. They're the ones who are saying things like, well, just be yourself, what's the big deal, and stuff like that. But I understand what the big deal is. I understand why that's so difficult. And, and I've worked with a lot of coaches who didn't get it, and it was really hard to move forward with them because they just didn't understand what I was dealing with. And that's what I wanted to be able to offer. I wanted to essentially kind of pay that forward. Someone was able to do that for me, and I really wanted to be able to do that for other people.
Yeah, that's huge. That's going to benefit a lot of people, especially empaths and HSPs.
I think so.
Yeah, because that's a big struggle for a lot of us. So that's huge.
And there's no reason for it. Like we need to be out there. Like the world needs our gifts so much. And that's what I want to do. And that's, one of the things that gets me out of bed in the morning is knowing that I can help people like you actually get seen and get in front of the clients who desperately need you.
Yeah, more than ever.
Yeah. Like
more than ever. Yeah,
the world needs you. Like I need you because I need the world to be a better place, and the world becomes a better place through your work. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yes,
you know,
yeah,
and that drives me, that just that knowledge of knowing that I can help not only people like you, but I'm also indirectly helping the people that you help.
exactly.
You
Yeah,
know,
we're all
it's
connected.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all connected. And I just love that so much.
yeah, I do too. That's one of my favorite things. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really great having you here today.
This was so
And
fun.
yeah, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. And for all the audience, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Empath's Journey to Empowerment podcast. And we hope you found inspiration and practical strategies to embrace your authenticity and step into your power as an empath. And remember that you have the ability to create a life of purpose, fulfillment, and make a positive impact in the world. So don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And if you like this, give it a thumbs up and be part of our community of empaths and highly sensitive people who are dedicated to living their best lives. Together, we can support each other, embrace our uniqueness, and make a difference. Stay empowered, stay authentic, and keep shining your light. And we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.